Morning, everyone. It's Phil Wade with Dalton Wade Real Estate Group, and today I'm joined with Sharon.
Shireen, good morning.
Good morning. Claren. Eric.
Hi.
Kinga.
Hi.
And Lisa is holding the phone. Today we're gonna just give everybody an update and say glad to hear everybody's safe and sound after Hurricane Irma. It's a bit scary, but things seem to be getting back to normal. Most people have power back. Not everybody, but there's some things going on in terms of your closings and your transactions that we just want to kind of let everybody know what the current status is. So basically, what happened was FEMA declared pretty much every county in Florida. They did what's called a declaration of emergency, so emergency situation, and then because of that, other government agencies which either guarantee or lend or support sort of the lending process, FHA, VA, and then Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which do the conventional loans, all sort of followed FEMA, and then because of that, basically any lending potentially has stopped up until October 1st. Now, some lenders are actually sort of overriding this, and what they're doing is they're actually indemnifying their investors. So like FHA, VA, they kind of guarantee the loan, but then there's an investor that actually buys the loan, so that investor's insured. So basically why it's kind of stopped is because FHA, VA, they're not insuring the loans until after October 1st. But if the lender is willing to indemnify the investor, they can do the loan. So there are some lenders currently still funding transactions that were in place prior to Hurricane Irma, and then some aren't. So the ones that typically aren't, I'm hearing, are more like the major banks. So if you have a loan that's being processed with Wells Fargo or Bank of America, there's probably a lesser chance that they're actually going to fund that loan until after the declaration is lifted. So it's scheduled to be lifted on the 1st, but it could be lifted sooner. So you want to stay very close to your lender. And then again, as I mentioned, our primary lender, which is MI Mutual, they're still funding. So if you have a transaction with them or maybe a mortgage company, so there are people doing the loans, but it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. So if your lender is doing the loan, or even if they're not, then what has to happen is if the property had been appraised prior to the hurricane, in that declaration date, which I think is September 5th, somewhere around there, the property has to be reappraised. Not reappraised, but re-inspected. So they have to go out and make sure that the place didn't sustain any damage that would kind of decrease its value. So they have to kind of go and double check, basically. So as you might imagine, now all the appraisers are very busy because now they've got to do their appraisals, right? And then on top of that, they've got to go back and re-inspect everything they already did. So that's causing somewhat of a logjam. And then the next potential issue, again, I've heard mixed things, is insurance companies writing policies. Daniel at MI Mutual said that was all good, but then I had an agent who works with us up in Pasco County email me that she's got like 3 transactions pending and the insurance there is on hold. So again, you want to check with your lender, you want to check with your buyer to see how they're doing in getting insurance. And again, this will all get lifted. It is a temporary thing. It's just sort of it's a nuisance and a little bit of an inconvenience. So it is, again, sort of case by case in terms of what's going on with that particular transaction. And then the last piece would be the title company. So the title company, certainly will be doing transactions, but again, they're probably been shut down for at least a week, maybe a few days more. So things have gotten backed up. They can only do so many closings a day. So generally, you might expect some delays. It will also cause, now if your client is a cash buyer, that should be fine because obviously they're not getting a loan, but then again, the insurance issue comes into play, that they can actually get insurance on the house. They can still close without insurance if they want, but if they can't get the insurance, they may need to wait until that declaration, is lifted. So there'll be some sort of kind of working through all this. If you're on the seller side, everything's going to need to be extended. There is a provision in the contract that kind of, accounts for this, so there really shouldn't be any issue in terms of actually, someone not giving you an extension. So that's kind of where we stand. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, I think, as everybody has said, and one could only imagine kind of what would have happened then. But really, in the grand scheme of things, this is all just kind of a minor inconvenience. Things are starting to get back to normal. We may see a little bit of fall off, in business going forward with people. The media has portrayed this as kind of a lot worse. You only see the bad, right, on TV. You don't see, things are pretty much back to normal. But then people that are coming to Florida, purchasing second homes, thinking of moving here, which is, a lot of what happens in our business, they may not be quite as eager to come now. But I think eventually, once it starts to get a little colder up north, it'll kind of, that'll just go away. So any questions on, kind of the current environment? Anyone with a question in watching on Facebook? All right, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a brighter subject and something to help everybody do a little more business. Thanks again.